Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me on this channel's second movie review. The movie in question is the somewhat infamous Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Released in 2018, I was currently working at a movie theater when this was released, and I gotta say, overall, I kind of dig this movie. It's primarily made for extreme, already familiar with Harry Potter, Wizarding World fans. If you're coming into this movie as an introduction or not that familiar with how things are in the Wizarding World, you're going to be left behind and lost. And actually, an employee of mine, like I was the boss, a coworker of mine at the time at the movie theater asked, "Oh, I've never seen the Harry Potter movies. Is this a good movie to watch? Would I be able to properly enjoy it?" And I was like, if you saw the first Fantastic Beasts movie, yes. But if not, if you're just coming in hot in this second installment on this spin-off franchise, then I would say wait a little bit. But basically, to give you an overall plot of the movie before we get into the nitty-gritty, the movie starts out shortly after the events of the previous film with Grindelwald in custody at MACUSA, and he's going to be transported to the British Ministry of Magic overseas to answer for his crimes over there. And we soon get, I just revel thinking about it, the best opening scene in a Harry Potter or Fantastic Beasts movie by far, without question, with Grindelwald escaping the Ministry's custody, and basically he's at large. And we fast forward to about 3 months later in the British Ministry of Magic with Newt. The year is 1927, and he's meeting up with his brother Theseus, part of the Auror department at the Ministry, and his fiancée, Leta Lestrange, and basically find out that Credence from the first movie isn't dead like a lot of people expected or thought, and that apparently they're trying to find him because he's an Obscurus and has this unique, great power that he can unleash on anyone, basically, because he's very emotional and that's how it comes out of him. But anyway, they try and recruit Newt to the Auror task force. He declines, and basically we get to see Grindelwald murder a family in Paris. That's nice. And there's various competing plot lines that we get throughout the movie with Newt and Jacob, because he's reunited for some reason. I know he was a fan favorite in the first movie, but I don't know, the way they brought him back into the movie seemed like a cop-out to me with him remembering stuff, but the way that Queenie gets him to Europe is pretty spot on for how she would have to do it, using the laws of magic in the Wizarding World, with enchanting him, with basically forcing him against his will to be engaged, and all that comes with that. But they separate Queenie and Jacob. It's a combination of Queenie and Tina's names there for a moment. And basically, Newt is primarily focused on getting back with Tina because there was a misunderstanding in the paper that he was with someone else. And that's really all that Newt has going on for him in the movie. He's not up to that much in this movie compared to the last one. Yes, he meets up with Dumbledore, which is played by Jude Law, perfectly cast. He does a brilliant job. And then over time, we see Newt retrace, trying to find Tina through Paris, and him and Jacob ultimately get led to Nicholas Flamel. And with everything else going on with Dumbledore being visited at Hogwarts. That's very cool to return to Hogwarts. Grindelwald is pulling the strings, trying to recruit Credence, if you will, in the most natural way possible. He's definitely skilled and has the resources to take Credence and imprison him and basically force him to do what he wants to do. But, with the desired use of Credence, ultimately using him as an instrument against Dumbledore to take him down, his only real foe and equal in terms of power in the wizarding world. He basically goes through this entire movie with using Credence's unknown history and family origins against him to basically drive him into his arms. And that's really what's going on in the Grindelwald side of things, aside from gathering followers and keeping his blood pack safe. So that's with that side of the story. And then there's also, there's Grindelwald and him getting Credence. We get to see Nagini in the movie, so that's something. And ultimately, the three ensuing plots lead to this rally that Grindelwald is holding at this basically graveyard, underground graveyard place inside this crypt, which is pretty interesting. I'd like to see a artistic diagram of that with the behind the scenes artwork, because that would be pretty cool to see how they envisioned that sort of thrown into it. And in the end, Grindelwald gets what he wants and kills Lita in the process, which seems like collateral damage and not as emotional as you think, despite her relationship with not just Newt, but Theseus, her fiance. So overall, did I like this movie? Yes. Was it as good as a film as the first movie? In a technical way, no. Personally, yes. There's so much to dig my teeth into and just enjoy and revel in as a Harry Potter fan. There's so much fan service done. I think it really makes the plot suffer in a lot of ways. And I want to get into the pros of the movie, what I liked. Casting, overall, with the main characters and the acting, great. Dumbledore, Jude Law, flawless. Grindelwald, I really liked, even though there was a lot of criticism there when it was first announced, and they probably could have done with a European actor because Grindelwald is not American. Nevertheless, the magic we get in this movie is way more, not in our face, but we just get more tastes and variety with it than the first movie, because it's not just about the beasts. There's actual magic and backstabbing and secrecy and circumstances requiring of magic in this movie. And along with going back to Hogwarts, which is such a great trip, there's a part in the film, I don't want to forget this, where I'd say it's about halfway, beginning of the second act of the movie. It's a perfect sequence of 3 different scenes. It's right after the flashback we get of Newt and Lita, with them growing up together at Hogwarts, with Dumbledore talking to Lita about how she was as a student when he was her teacher, and that confession is a great gift that she can use, and it's never too late to right the wrong of the past and really turn your life around in a sense. And you don't have to be known for your least desirable trait or the worst thing that you've done in your life, sort of thing. So it's that scene followed by Grindelwald approaching Queenie in, I guess it is It is, I think for a moment, one of the rooms of the house of the family that they murdered in Paris, basically trying to recruit her, saying that she could have what she wants, wizards and muggles living freely together, having marriage and relationships like that. That's what he offers with his vision of the world. And that is a great scene, one of many scenes of Johnny Depp's, because he's very passive. He's not aggressive or threatening in his demeanor or appearance or walk as he approaches her. He doesn't have his wand out. He's very just, I'm here. This is what I have to say. You are innocent. And making his case for why she should side with his future plans of the wizarding world and the non-magic world as well. So immediately after that, we go to Dumbledore in front of the mirror of Erised. It's not exactly clear if he's in the room of requirement or what part of the castle, not relevant, but we get him looking into the mirror. Obviously, he sees Grindelwald, them making the blood pact, and from there it goes to Jacob meeting Nicholas Flamel, and that's when the perfect sequence stops for me. When I was working at the theater, I would always try and sneak into the theater that was playing that movie, and that was a good majority of the time what was showing at the time, and it was just a perfect sequence of events and scenes and editing and just one thing after another. It's just built so perfectly off of each other. It was just like this, then that, then this. It was just like, oh, it hit me at such an emotional level, very effective with those three scenes, back to back to back, perfectly done by the filmmakers. I commend them on that. Now, what else do I like about it? There was the characters, the acting, the creatures, obviously what we get to see from the Fantastic Beasts textbook to on screen. That's always so rewarding as a fan, reading about the creatures and then seeing it come to life, even though, yes, that's what a Japanese water demon, the Kappa, as everyone should know, going into the movie looks like, but besides showing it and seeing it on screen, what is its purpose? I mean, it just looks cool. There's really no other reason to have it in the movie, I guess, besides the title of the movie. So there was that. Is there anything else before I go into the cons? Stuff that I didn't like. I don't want to forget anything. The Grindelwald, the Nurmengard Castle looked really cool. That was done well. I look forward to seeing that in the future movie, because obviously Grindelwald's going to be a big part of the whole franchise. But I guess besides finally seeing Grindelwald in action, because we only just heard about him and whispers and how powerful he is in the first movie, we actually get to see Johnny Depp, aka Grindelwald, do crimes and stuff and do his thing, which was nice. And finally get to see Dumbledore, young Dumbledore that we've heard about, which was name dropped in the first movie. So that was really cool. And I guess, I don't know, I wasn't that impressed with the French Ministry of Magic, but I'm glad we got to go there. But there were so many talks amongst online Harry Potter fans, I can't even call them Potterheads, that, oh, because a good portion of the movie, it's supposed to take place in Paris, we're going to see Beauxbatons. It's like, okay, you can assume that, but don't say it as a guarantee. I mean, that's great we got the French Ministry of Magic and Nicholas Flamel, but besides that, doesn't do much for me. So I get it, trying to see the Wizarding World in an expansive, wide setting, but, you know, the hype for that really wasn't there for me in terms of the Paris appeal. Now to the highly anticipated cons section, what I didn't like about it. Well, after the first viewing, because I saw this movie 3 times in theaters, the first time, just soaking it in, enjoying everything. Second time, I really was more critical, looking at the details and breaking everything down. That's really when I determined when Grindelwald and Abernathy did their switch. Doesn't really require a whole video to break down and explain how the body swap happened. But yeah, you come to the conclusion, it's obvious after 1 or at least 2 viewings at maximum, that they were actually swapped places physically before the start of the movie, that Abernathy is actually disguised as Grindelwald, imprisoned when we open the movie, and vice versa. So don't really get a lot of the confusion with that. And Mr. Spielman, the guy that was with Madame Picquery, which, of course they had to bring her back. Apparently he's the head of incarceration at the International Wizards Confederation, which that would have been nice to been told in the movie. I mean, it's just like, okay, there's this German guy taking him into custody. Who are you? What are you about exactly? Why? What is your position of authority? So that was a lot of the movie where it's just like, wait, who are you? What's your role in this? Why are you relevant? That this book, basically the screenplay, it's not a novel. They release these simultaneously with the releases, so it's not that she writes it and they make it into a movie. They make the movie and copy and paste what it turns out to be, the script, in book form. So reading that, seeing the characters' names and doing some research with that really helps you fully understand everything and everyone that's going on. And that's one of the pitfalls of this movie, is even as super crazy, hyped Potterhead, there's some things where you're like, why? Why? You're bringing McGonagall into this movie? Why? Dumbledore's teaching Defense Against Dark Arts? Why? I mean, you're bringing in another 2 new characters that didn't appear in the Fantastic Beasts textbook before the movies, just like you did in the first movie, 2 different characters we've never seen before. Why? You have so much to go off of, and oh man. And there's one thing that really ticked me. It's when Newt is in his recruiting meeting with the Aurors at the Ministry, and there's this one guy that's talking about Grindelwald and how he's appealing to not just reshaping the wizarding world, but the non-magical world as well, how those 2 realities, or I guess worlds, for lack of a better word, would coincide and live with one another. And he does this thing, this actor, he's the black guy in the scene, and he's sitting like this, and his hand, he keeps doing this. Mr. Scamander, it is clear that you are uneasy about things, and frankly, so are we. Grindelwald wants to not only rule the magical world, but the non-magical world as well. And he does this thing with his hand. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, can we get what is the call? What is the name of it? Like a director's assistant, or like a, I don't know, just some note or comment like, don't do that. That's extremely distracting and just like weird. It's like, why are you doing that? It just comes off as really bad acting and just ruins the scene for me. And also, there's this thing with, I can't even believe I'm getting into this, but it was, where was it? Oh yeah, it's when Newt he leaves the ministry after he turns down the oars, and there's this guy, this dumb, goofy white guy, of course, with this out of place mustache following him for some reason. And Newt catches on that he's being followed, and he uses this wind spell to really propel him and impede his progress on him. And it's like, just pull out your wand and use magic. Like, are you a muggle? I mean, if that's the case, why are you following Newt? And if you're a ministry employee, like Theseus said, they're watching you. Like, just use magic. Like, why? It doesn't make sense. It's a really stupid scene that really should have been cut from the film. And the movie's 134 minutes long, 1 minute longer than the first film. And unlike the first film, this one probably should have been condensed. And another thing that stood out to me, I haven't heard anyone talk about it, at least in the serious Potterhead community, that Credence, from the very beginning, even before the first Fantastic Beasts movie, we were told about this character, child, because they were trying to misdirect us with modesty, turned out to be Credence, with this very unique power that was so significant and game-changing for the Wizarding world that, like, just watch out for this character. This is going to be so important. He only appears in 4 scenes in this movie, and they're very brief. I would wager he appears less than 17 minutes of runtime in the film. Probably less than that. There's the circus, when we first encounter him. When he meets Irma Dugard, the dwarf, half dwarf, trying to find out about his parents. There's on the rooftop when Grindelwald comes to him, gives him the directions to go to the cemetery to really find out the truth about his family. And then in the tombs with Yusuf Kama, when he's telling the whole backstory of his quest and purpose in life, which was, I don't know why we had to go there. That was really, really deep where J.K. Rowling took that in terms of story, not in terms of emotional and humanity experience and story-wise, but specific and so not interesting. I was sitting there in the first viewing of the movie. I was just trying to soak in everything. I was like trying to remember names. It was like this and that, this and that, this and that. Corvus, Lita, my father. It's just like, okay, I'm trying to remember everything. And then the second time you watch it, you're like, okay, that makes sense. But first time, there's very remote likelihood that you're going to retain everything and get what he's saying. It's just like, why should I care? It's like, I want to see Grindelwald do his stuff, commit crimes, talk about the Hallows, try and gain power with, I guess he's doing with Credence, trying to recruit him, going against Dumbledore. But at the same time, it's like, make me care about these side plots. I don't get that emotionally invested. Yusuf Kama, it's like, what are we doing with him? So, yeah, and another thing, I don't want to seem like this is all bad and that I didn't like the movie. I loved the movie. It was so enjoyable, but there's so many things where it's like, You're making a movie in the world of Harry Potter. You have so much potential and ways to go, and you're bringing in this French wizard with distant connection ties to Lestrange family. Okay. Name dropping, that's okay. If that's the only thing to make me care, then it's like, why bother? By the time we get to the rally at the end of the movie, which is the best scene in the entire film by far, Grindelwald's speech and taking down everyone with the blue flames, which is brilliant. It's like, by the time we get to Lita with her final stand, which is so stupid, sacrificing herself trying to go up against Grindelwald, saving Newt and Theseus, and she's like, I love you. And it pans to both Newt and Theseus. It's like, I don't care. I really don't care who she actually said it to. Newt, the brother of the guy she's engaged with, her best friend growing up at Hogwarts, or her actual fiance that she's engaged to. It's like, at the end of the day, I don't care. I really don't. And really, I think Zoe Kravitz is a crap actress, in my opinion. I mean, if you look at what she's done in Mad Max Fury Road and this, there's nothing to write home about, and I just felt no emotional just connection or sympathy for her. It's just like, okay. It's like, we know before the movies even came out for Fantastic Beasts, Newt's going to end up with Tina. For any real Potterhead out there that didn't have to research characters and things when the movies were getting ready and finding out what they were going to be about, it's like, I don't care. It's so off the mark for what we crave and demand as Harry Potter fans, which isn't that much. It's just give us the magic and the crimes, if you're going to name it. Crimes of Grindelwald. I want to see the stuff. And yes, he breaks out of custody and attacks and disarms his captors to escape and kills that Muggle family in France. And he lies to Credence, but lying's not a crime. It's a sin, not a crime. So there's that. But other than that, he kills Krull, which that scene between the two of them was great. I revel in that every time I see it. But also murdering the 5 to 6 Aurors, and it's like, give me more of that, and Hallows, and yeah, you can incorporate the Beast, but I don't know. The Blue Flames I loved, but by the time we get to Flamel and the wand into the earth magic, which is really cool, and then it's his red flames versus the Grindelwald smoke skull flames going against each other after Grindelwald's already left because it's out of control, sort of like the Fiend Fire in the Room of Requirement. At that point, it's like, it could have been so much more epic if Flamel was there when Grindelwald was still in Paris. That could have been insanely epic, but at the end it's just like, once Grindelwald left the building, I mean, for me, the movie's kind of over. In terms of climactic set pieces. So that was a missed opportunity, and of course the movie ends in the most egregious way, which left a bad taste in my mouth on the first viewing, which really made me dislike the movie and keep it at arm's length for a time until I saw it multiple times, and until I saw the third movie, Secrets of Dumbledore, that I really appreciated the movie as a whole. Even though it's not technically as good as the first movie, as a Harry Potter fan, it does me enough fan service to justify its existence and legitimacy. So at the end, we get left with the ultimate cliffhanger that Credence's real name is Aurelius Dumbledore, and his brother seeks to destroy you, even though he's never met Dumbledore, and it turns out that he's not actually his real brother, even though he is a Dumbledore, which is ludicrous even to get into. But yeah, that's what it was all working towards, to give him a purpose to go after Dumbledore, not just to be friendly with Credence for giving him the truth about his family, but to instruct him and point him in this direction to use his power, which was his ultimate purpose, Grindelwald's plan. But of course, they have to give Ezra Miller a wand. And he blasts a mountainside. We get the zoom in, which there's a pretty cool green cabinet in the background. Grindelwald's office, the cabinet of a cabinet at Nurmengard Castle, which is really cool. That really intrigues me, if we see that, or if that's actually an important magical artifact like the Vanishing Cabinet. But we go in on the close-up of Credence, and it's just so bad, very cringeworthy, terrible final shot for the filmmakers. Big mistake there. Score was very well. The music, very more distinct than the last film. So they exceed in that regard, but I just know that Ezra Miller went to David Yates and the filmmakers. It was like, I need to have a wand. Like, as a self-proclaimed, like, I'm a true Harry Potter fan, like, no questions about it. All his just antics and queer personality, that I need a wand. Like, I can't not be in that Wizarding World movies, these Fantastic Beasts movies, and not have a wand. Like, no way. So I know 100% that he bullied the filmmakers. Like, if I'm going to be in these films, you need to give me a wand somehow. And of course, they give him a wand at the end of the film. And really, with how they leave things, yes, you're on edge to really find out, is this true? Is he lying to Credence? How does his revealed identity fit into everything with what we know with the Harry Potter books, and how could that be? And is this just another thing that doesn't make sense or connect with the original books? And in terms of plot, not much there. We're just waiting for that fifth movie, for the ultimate 1945 duel. But we need answers, and of course, this seems like a really fill-in movie, sort of like Half-Blood Prince, where there's stuff going on. Yes, it's entertaining and magical, but you know the real stuff is coming on later on. This is just a taste or a setup for better things to come. So, I mean, is there really anything else to say about the movie? I mean, I feel like we covered most things. Leave a comment down below if you liked the movie, didn't like the movie, agree with anything that I said, or want me to clarify on points that I made, or give this video a thumbs up if you like this video, or don't agree with my analysis and think you know better than me, which you don't. Let's see. I mean, I guess I could talk about the house elves. They did find okay magic in the movies. They didn't have any speaking lines, which is an improvement from the last film, which I assume if they gave them speaking roles in this film, they would mess that up. So I guess they learned their lesson. But I feel like that's everything I wanted to get out about this movie. Yeah, two things before I wrap up, because just talking about this, I feel like personally I'm more passionate about the first film, even though I think I like this film better for selfish reasons. But um, yeah, Dumbledore says that they and other purebloods think that Credence is the last of a dying line or a ancient bloodline, which is, I guess, the Lestranges. And it's like, what purebloods? Who's they that think Credence is this missing person, and how do they know he exists and that he's a potential fit for this long lost relative, pureblood? And the only person that comes up in the film that could know this is Yosef Kama, who's trying to find Credence to kill him, because that's his ultimate mission with the unbreakable vow. But how would he know that Credence even exists in Europe? It's so unclear, and how the Ministry would like know or have tabs on him. I guess if he made a big commotion or his magic got picked up by the Ministry with him joining up with the circus or whatnot. But it's so unclear, like, who is interested in knowing who Credence is and trying to find him. It's like, how do we get to that point? It doesn't make sense, the premise for everything that follows. Yes, what happens in the movie, for the most part, makes sense and fits the bill, but it's like, how do we get there? There's so much that is unexplained, and the filmmakers don't even bother to tell us, which, it's not like, oh, you gotta wait to the next movie, or know about this or be this knowledgeable about Harry Potter. It's like they give us nothing to go on. It's like we would love these details and insights and just legitimacy of why this is happening and why we should care. That's my big question. Like, why? Why? For a lot of this movie. So yeah, I'd say that's about it. That's my drunken, rambling movie review of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I mean, this one's going to split a lot of people in terms of liking it or not liking it. If you like it, you're probably big into Harry Potter. It does a great fan service. I give this movie 4 out of 5 stars. The rewatchability is high on this one. You could go back to it many, many times. And if you didn't like it, then, I mean, I get it, but you're probably not as serious into Harry Potter as most of us are, and really would benefit for seeing the movies to follow once the entire franchise is released for Fantastic Beasts, and going back and watching it all together, I think would garner a much more appreciation for this film. But that is it. I'm done. I've been rambling too much. I hope to see you in my next month's video. I'm doing Secrets of Dumbledore movie review for my November movie review. Hope to see you then. Cheers.